Danny, how are you, sir? Okay.
Good. How are you?
All right. It looks like we've done this. I know there's been some challenges, on the scheduling end of things. So,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
sure. It's the scheduling snafu is on me. I think we were supposed to meet Tuesday at 10. That's what I set it at.
Or-
And
yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, I had a scheduling conflict with my family. So,
Well, good for
um
you because family comes first. And take it
thank
from
you.
me, a 67-year-old guy, at the end of it all, put your family first.
That's
So,
I got married recently. I got married in August, and the number
okay.
one lesson I've gotten is happy wife, happy life. So that's kind of the motto I'm going by.
There you go. There you go, man.
Yeah.
All right. And where are you calling in from, Danny?
So I'm actually we're based out of Cleveland. So the Cleveland
Yeah,
we're a
cool.
little suburb, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. And I'm actually in New Hampshire right now, where my home is. So, but I started my career out in San Francisco,
Got you.
doing a lot of renovation back in the '90s for my uncle. He owned a lot of multifamily out there, so that gave me the juice to get into the field here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Oh, so I was going through what you're building at Listmark here, and I want to know how to pronounce that properly here.
It's Listmark. Yeah, it's kind of like
Listmark.
Lyft. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Cool.
Listmark.
Cool. Listmark. And so what stood out is how you're turning internal brokerage data
Yeah,
uh, into something actually usable and valuable, right?
yeah,
And yeah, cool. A lot of firms are still stuck on spreadsheets and scattered deal history, conversations. Some they remember, some they forget, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, what you're doing, you're building a centralized data brain. Feels very timely here.
yeah, absolutely. So just to give a little bit of background on myself,
Hmm.
I know you did the same thing, so it's only fair.
Yeah.
And as my wife says to bring her up again, you love talking about yourself, so it's my number one pastime, I guess, in her eyes. Um,
Okay.
um, so
Yeah.
I came from brokerage, which is where this
Okay.
idea sort of kind of stemmed from. We're sitting on a lot of our own internal data. But when it came time to actually, do a market study, or look up some comps or, whatever, our kind of day to day look like, we would use external tools. We'd use like CoStar, CRE, things like that. Um, and we were sitting on this gold mine
Hmm.
and really weren't doing anything with it. There's no good way of organizing it. So that's why we built Listmark.
Nice, nice. So, what for the beginning for you? What was the juice that got you started onto your career here? Was there like a shining light moment for you? Um, how did it all play out for you, where you got involved into your niche and real estate in general?
So the kind of the start was I was in college, and I knew I wanted to do something in real estate, so I went and got my license. And I'm more of a math numbers guy. My degree in college was analytics,
Yeah.
so much more of a numbers guy. And commercial real estate is a lot more numbers.
Hmm.
Um, and I got hired at my firm at 19. Kind of amazing that they took me at that point because I literally had no knowledge of anything, let alone real estate.
They
Um,
took you in.
they took me in, yeah, which is
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still in contact with my old boss, Jerry Fiume. Great guy. And
Nice.
he was, I called him up, I think it was last year. I was like, Jerry, you're a little nuts for letting me, come on as a 19-year-old and take over all your underwriting. He's like, yeah, a little bit. So,
Well,
but
he
props to
obviously
him.
saw something in you that was very special. Um, and what problems did you see early on in your career that other people were not paying attention to?
Yeah. I think the number one problem I saw was on the back office. So we were very good at client communication. We'd get to clients, pretty
Okay.
quickly. Um, if someone was interested in And we did a lot of retail, kind of small shop, auto body, um, some QSR, and then a good amount of industrial. It's kind of the bread and butter here in the Cleveland, Akron metro area.
Yeah.
Um, and so the kind of the issue that I saw was the internal communication and project management. There was no real good tool built for commercial real estate, so we kind of held everything on Google Drive or on our own personal computers. And then when it kind of came time to, when a client would come to us and ask for, our services, because of that dysfunction, there was no good pipeline for, tackling their project. And so I was the only underwriter in the entire office, dealing between, multiple different teams. So, when one team needed, a piece of information or for me to dig through, you know, a certain Excel file, and it was just on my computer, they would have to wait for me to come in. I would have to email them, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then it would take, something as simple, that would take usually 15 minutes for me to do would, end up
Hmm.
a 2 hour ordeal for the team. So that was kind of the
Hmm.
the big the big issue I saw.
Nice, nice. So most brokerages still rely on fragmented systems. I mean, Excel
Yeah.
sheets, spreadsheets, emails, memory. Why is that such a big issue? And what are firms missing out by not super organizing their data? How much value is
I
being lost? I mean,
a great deal. I mean, first off, it slows down productivity significantly, kind of like I was saying before, where everyone's got to wait. Most brokerages, if they're a small brokerage, only have, um, a few people who can who kind of run the back office. And if they're
yeah,
out or if they're busy, things kind of grind to a halt. I know at our brokerage, it was our broker, our managing director, he was always out. So if you needed something from him, you really had to get lucky. And then it was his wife, who also was, getting busier and busier because she was getting her broker's license. She was an associate becoming a broker. And the further along she got, the busier she got. So if there's a lot of fragmentation and there's no one set certain way that you are organizing your data, your projects, your tasks, your assignments, all that stuff in a commercial real estate specific way, then kind of
mm.
everything starts to break down. You could have, you can be paying for the best, CoStar subscription and have freemium and all that stuff. But if there's no way for you to organize your internal way, the way you
Mm.
do business, then that really doesn't mean anything.
Hmm. So you describe Listmark as the data backbone for brokerages.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, so we've kind of boiled it down to, I mean, we have a lot of features that are kind of built upon the base. We can get really, really technical. Um, but the core of everything is something we call records. So those are comps, it's comp data,
Yeah.
sale and lease. And then you have multi-tenant leases as well. That's kind of it's a third leg. And everything's built on that. So you punch in your data, you can do it manually, or you can upload it. We convert it into our own format built into our system. It's pretty easy. It's like a 2-minute process. And then you have on top of that, you have something called attachments. So another thing I noticed in brokerage is we have all this comp data in Excel. We have, all of our underwrites. We have insane underwriting, workbooks, which are really neat.
Hmm.
All these models, but then we have a bunch of other, like PDFs and Excels, which are, our OMs, our flyers, our lease documents, signed contracts.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of other, information that's very, very important. And if we misplace it, makes our lives a lot, harder. So we have the ability, we created a way for you to actually attach that. And if you have a multi-tenant
Yep.
record, you could actually attach those documents to your tenants,
Okay.
which makes
Okay.
a lot easier. You have notes on there as well. So instead of you writing down pen and paper or creating, Excel, note sticky pad, it's just attached and it's always there. And then if you're on a team
Always
plan
there.
of ours, everyone on the team has that ability. There's comments as well, kind of like on Google Drive, where everyone can see each other's comments. It's the same idea. So it
Yeah.
creates team collaboration a lot easier. If you're a single person, a single user as well, you have that notes feature too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, what changes in totality for a brokerage once they implement this?
Yeah, the real change is their data organization and project management. Kind of, I mean, I've been harping on it the
Hmm.
entire, but that's kind of the main goal. Is to our motto is turn your data into your advantage.
Hmm.
Um, so take the data that you have, that gold mine of data, the data that you've been working on for so long, and actually put it to good use instead of having it just sit in an Excel portfolio somewhere on your computer. You can actually, actively use it. We have a very in-depth search function. We're bringing analytics as well, so you'll be
Yeah.
able to actually analyze. It's our own proprietary trained AI model we've been working on for the last year and a half. So you'll be able to really grill down by market, segment what, property type zoning, and we'll have
Hmm.
very advanced analytics based on rent and sales based on your data.
Hmm.
So it's no one else's, it's
Yeah.
your own.
Right.
And
Mhm.
you could really take maximize the data that you've created.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So give an example for us of how having the better data actually translates into more deals and higher revenue specifically.
Yeah. So a good example I would say is when you're addressing clients, when you're doing, I guess the best way I would put it is from my experience, we would get a lot of, um, clients or prospective clients coming into us and saying, "Hey, we're looking to buy, you know, an industrial property in Akron." And we would, on our end, go ahead and do a market study to kind of figure out what the best price, what they're looking for, kind of bring up those comps, do a broker opinion of value, and then formulate it into a report for them, for
Yeah.
it to be sent over. And a lot we kind of stumble into this problem where um, we because we weren't using our data, our own proprietary data as much, we'd use it maybe 10% of the time. When
Hmm.
you get to more niche markets, like let's just say Independence, Ohio, which is a small town outside of Cleveland, a lot of these public comp services have a lot of incomplete data.
Hmm.
Um, and when you're trying to get the most accurate data for your client, um, not having, relying on publicly available data isn't great. So having the ability to really quickly, punch in all of your data, have everything organized, everything attached, you're good to go. You can simply just punch in your system, Independence, Ohio, all of anything associated with Independence, Ohio pops up. You can really quickly select it, open it, find those details. And then
Hmm.
once we have our AI system, it'll be significantly better. You can just ask the AI, it will do it for you. Um,
Got it.
and you could
Yeah.
just get all of that data.
Nice. I mean, you're working with pricing models, cap rates, trend
Yep.
tracking,
Yep.
and yeah. So how do you see the data reshaping how brokers operate once they have access to, quick on-time data that they don't have to recall from a conversation. Will
Yeah,
brokers become more like analysts over time? Think.
yeah, yeah.
What skills are
That's
most valuable moving forward? It's kind of a crystal ball question, but AI is here, and
yeah.
it's yeah. Okay.
I, I think in the kind of the scope of AI, um, I mean, we're seeing models like Claude and ChatGPT is good and Gemini. The problem is that they only function on the data that you give them. They have no actual connection to all of your data live. And as people get more and more used to doing things on their own with AI, getting less reliant on third parties, I think we
Mm,
fit in really well where we are the backbone database of your brokerage. We store all of your data. We
mm,
have all of your notes. We have all of your attachments, all of your files. And then with our own AI, you'll be able to really unlock the
yeah.
the power of your data. You'll be able to just as
Hmm.
like you go to like Claude or ChatGPT and ask it a question, and it kind of learns, you know,
Yeah.
who you
Hmm.
are as time goes on. The same thing with our, with what we kind of envision Listmark becoming
Nice.
is it'll learn,
Hmm.
who you are, how you operate as a brokerage and as an individual broker and advisor, and get more comfortable with you.
So real estate isn't always quick to adopt new technology. What
Yes.
resistance have you seen, and what's the biggest objection from firms, and how do you overcome that and drive adoption from your clients?
Yeah. We've only been out. We have version 1 out right now. We're actually having version 2 of our app come out for the next 2 weeks. We haven't set a date yet, just because we're still doing some
Hmm.
little tweaks here and there. Unfortunately, I'm a perfectionist, which is good and bad thing. But
Okay.
I think the biggest point of resistance is sort of our base model, where we are we're not a public repository. So we're not like CoStar, we're not like Crexy, we're not like Comstack, where we're sharing all of your data publicly. I think a lot of people want more and more public data. Um,
Mm,
and that's kind of what they're which is on us. I mean, we have some marketing material, but we don't have so much of it. We only really have our website. But I think
mm,
the biggest resistance is, I don't really care for that internal data. I just want more and more of my own data, and kind of flipping people to say, you're working very hard on, you know, creating all of this material. Why are you, don't let it go to waste. I know
mm,
people want
that,
more and more external data,
mm,
but let's focus on what you got, internally, and making that the best possible instead of you having to over rely on the
yeah,
external. And then if you're over relying on the external, you know, you're paying an exorbitant amount of money,
yeah.
what's the point
Mm,
of everything you're doing internally?
okay. What will separate, in your view, moving forward here, top performing brokerages from the rest? And do you see a future where data becomes the primary competitive advantage?
Yeah, I do. I think firms that have, their stuff put together, that um, have all of their data put together, have, built out systems. It doesn't have to be a list mark. It could be something else too. If they're more enterprise, I think BTS is great. We're focusing on the smaller broker, more independent, more local. Um, but the brokerages that have internal systems built out specifically for commercial real estate, and that have, solid, you know, point A to Z
Mm,
systems that allow them to organize themselves. I think those are the ones that are going to win. I'm not
yeah.
saying the ones that don't aren't. They still might have great brokers, but they're going to be definitely lag behind.
Okay. Okay. As a founder, Danny, what's been the biggest challenge building listmarks so far for you? Every company has challenges, and it's the ones that face them and overcome them. And that can be a good lesson for younger entrepreneurs here too. So yeah, what's been your biggest challenge so far?
I think patience, that's probably number one. Originally, I wasn't doing any of the coding. I was non-technical, although I knew how to. Um, and then kind of as time progressed, I became more technical and started doing 99% of the coding. Some of my friends do as well. Um, I think you want to kind of release everything all at once and have the greatest product ever. But that's not really how reality works.
Yeah.
Things need to be, every single component needs to be tested. Every single component needs to
Mm,
be refined. And then when you bring it out to market, it needs to be tested by, the end user because,
yeah.
I'm not involved in the day-to-day anymore, unfortunately, in the advisory side or the brokerage side. So, um, giving it to brokers, letting them see, what's good or what's bad, and then kind of refining again. So I think patience would be probably the
Yeah.
hardest
Yeah.
thing because you just have so many ideas and just free flow them, and you're on such a groove, but then kind of hit reality where it takes a while.
Yeah. Yeah. What's been your biggest take or the biggest thing you've learned about building in the CRA tech space, which you've done so well? So what have you learned?
Um, I think the number one thing, patience is definitely number one.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to that. Um, but also I think probably communicate. I was not a very good communicator. And I think sort of speaking with more and more brokers,
Hmm.
and kind of understanding, um, what their needs are, what they're looking for, I think has really made
Hmm.
me, you know, much better at that communication aspect.
Nice, nice. So, yeah, Danny, what stands out is how, you're taking something that every firm already has, data, and you're turning it into a real competitive advantage here for the firms that want to take advantage of their content that they already have. So um, this is a great step forward for companies that have the data and choose to do something with it. So I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. I probably could ask you another 20 questions here, and maybe we could do that on a further podcast, perhaps. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, your expertise in here stands out, and your ability to move in this space and take leadership here, it's really standing out. So thank you. And what that's a wrap pretty well. But before we wrap, how can people get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of you and your company here?
Sure, they can go to www.listmark.com, LYSTMRK. They can click our contact page, or they can email me directly, Danny Margolin, all one word, at listmark.com.
Nice, nice. Danny, thank you so much.